Welcome back to the SP Streamer Podcast, part of the Fantrax and FantraxHQ.com family. I'm your host, Michael Simeone, and as per usual, I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Lauren Auerbach.
Hello.
And don't laugh when I say that.
Well, it's very nice. I don't take compliments very well, so thank you. I just have to sit and laugh, but it's flattering. Thank you.
So, Lauren, recently
Yes.
you were on the Enrico Palazzo
I
podcast
was.
with
Yeah.
Michael Gove, who is
Michael
quite
Gove.
the co-host. And that is like a one-of-a-kind podcast. I don't think anyone is even like remotely close to that.
It's truly unique. Yes. It was. I had a really good time, though. It's fun. And he's
I was going to say, how'd you enjoy that?
I really liked it. I didn't really know what to expect. But I liked his kind of mixing of sports, but also getting to know you. And he's a little wacky, but he's such a nice, kind guy. And it was really fun kind of hanging out with him for a couple hours. So it's good.
Yeah, he does a lot of crazy stuff, which is awesome. And all the soundboard and everything's just like, I highly suggest anyone who like wants to just be entertained even. Like, I mean, obviously there's fantastic info on there in fantasy baseball, but just entertainment wise, like he'll just make you laugh the entire time. Like I was actually messaging you, Lauren, about it. And I was like, when he had me on, I was just laughing the entire time. Like I couldn't even talk. Like I felt like I was a horrible guest because I like wasn't responding because I was just too busy laughing at it.
No, it's fun. I think, I kind of took it as you just kind of roll with it, It's just, it was just really fun and I had a good time and I was happy to meet him and it was good.
How'd you react to the soundboard though? Because when I was on, there was like a few times early on where like, because you don't expect it because no one does it really. And like, there's a few times where like, it actually like scared me. Like I like jumped out of my seat a little bit and I was like, forgot that he does that.
And I had seen a couple of his shows before. And so I knew that there was that. I knew that basically he brought a whole bunch of things. Right. But there's some like when he does one about Coors and he's like Coors. And for like, I was like, wait, what? And it's like Coors when he's talking about Coors Field. And I was just like, oh, and it's like the Coors Light guy who, whatever. Anyway, I like that kind of threw me a little bit. And, but yeah, what I loved it's also funny, like he'll ask you questions like, would you rather be arrested or stabbed? Like in between doing, like fantasy stuff, and it's just like, wait, what?
Wait, before we move on to our guest real quick, did he ask you the money or love question?
Yep.
He asked everyone that. I'm assuming you chose love.
I chose love and I asked him how many people actually chose money. Did you choose love? Did you say money?
Yeah. No, I chose love. I was going to say, I wonder, same thing. I wonder. Yeah. I've listened to a bunch. I don't think I've heard anyone say money, but what did he say?
He said he wouldn't disclose, but the majority of people say love.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we're here with a guest. She is co-host of the Did You Hear podcast. And that is Emma Houghton. And I apologize, Emma, because I should have asked you how to pronounce your last name correctly. Okay, I thought I had it because I actually was listening to a recent episode of yours, and I was like, made sure because I'm a fan of your podcast, but I wanted to make sure to pronounce your last name correctly. So
thank you, I appreciate that. Unfortunately, I've gotten a lot of mispronunciations throughout schooling, obviously. But no, you got it. I'm so happy I'm here. Huge fan of both of you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're happy to have you.
Yeah. When I see it, I want to say Houghton for some reason.
I want to say Houghton.
I want to say Houghton. Houghton's usually the one I get.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm glad I got that right. I need to be a better host when it comes to that.
But before we go on, I got to ask about this money and love question.
It was just like.
That's what it is. What's
money or love?
Money or love.
What do you prefer?
Yeah. Interesting. Like he goes through a series of quick questions. Like I said, would you rather be arrested or stabbed?
Yeah.
Money or love? Like it's just like it's one of these kind of either or things.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start doing that, Michael.
I mean, we can.
Keep people on their toes.
Yeah. At the end of an interview.
Yeah. Perfect. So Emma, like I said, you're the co-host of the Did You Hear podcast. You host it with Patrick Zhang, who is also fantastic on the mic. So I have to ask you guys because I was discussing you guys with Lauren before we brought you in, and I feel like your guys' chemistry is like could not be better, like perfect. So do you guys know each other outside of that, or were you friends? Like, how did you guys start the podcast, and how did you two meet?
Yeah, we do. So thank you so much for that. We both pride ourselves on that. That's truly the best compliment we can get. And I think having fun with it is really the foundation for it. But Pat and I both went to Villanova. We graduated in 2020, but I think we met freshman year, and then sophomore year, he actually got me involved in Villanova radio, and we were able to call Villanova basketball games together.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
Mostly for the men's team. And then a couple of years later, we did some women's basketball too. So I think that practice really helped. And then being friends on the side too. And then when I found out about Blue Wire Hustle, which Lauren knows well about too, he was the first person that popped into my head. I knew that he would be just as interested in it as I was. And we both just love talking about football and baseball and basketball. So I'm really glad that it shows to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, so good on the mic, both of you.
Thank you.
That's why, thank God Matt Williams did that tweet. I mean, that's how I found you guys. Then I immediately tweeted out about you guys because I thought you both were really well, really, really good.
Thank you.
And as well, I mean, I told Lauren too, I listened to the one, I think it was about, you were just talking about really, really good performances in baseball so far. I think it was the halfway point of the year or something. And some of the stats you guys were putting out there, I was like I've never heard or even seen anyone say it, even on Twitter. Some of the, I don't know, it's just the information you guys dig up is just really top notch. So
thank you so much.
Really,
it means a lot.
Yep, definitely.
We try and bring out content that we are the most interested. That's the stuff that I love. I'm such a numbers nerd. I love all the stuff behind the scenes. And it just means a lot that people like it too. We were talking before about getting discovered and getting little signs to know that you're doing the right thing and you can keep going. And Matt Williams' tweet was one of those things. So that was really awesome.
Yeah, that definitely. And Matt is the one who hooked me up with Lauren. So look at that.
Yeah, all comes around.
I know. We should have Matt Williams on.
Yeah, we should bring him on as a guest one time.
Yeah.
All right, so Emma, I know you're a big Boston Red Sox fan, so we obviously have to talk Red Sox here.
Yes.
Not a great weekend for you guys. I mean, past series, at least. My days are a little messed up because I came back from vacation. So first, quick reaction to the series against the Yankees. You a little worried now? You think eventually you'll end up, taking I mean, you guys are still obviously the AL East is, ridiculous right now.
Right.
I think you guys are right there around the Athletics when it comes to wild card. So I mean, in terms of worry level, where are you right now when it comes to the Red Sox?
Yeah, I think it's actually nice that you said it's been a rough weekend because it's really been a rough month as a Red Sox fan.
That's true.
But I would say I'm generally on the more positive side always. So I'm worried. I'm probably a 6 or a 7, but I also think this is going to be the rock bottom of the season. I think truly it only goes up from here. And really the narrative that everybody's talking about is that this is finally what the Red Sox are supposed to be because they had horrible expectations coming into this year. Nobody thought they were going to be good. And then when you are good and you go back to a slump, then everybody throws it in your face. My argument is we're 70 wins into the season almost. That's not luck. You don't stumble upon that. Right. The San Francisco Giants are going through the same thing. They're going to rebound. They just got one of the best pitchers in the game back. So it was a horrible series. Yankees fans are the worst types of fans. Didn't help that it was against the Yankees.
They really
but
are.
I really think they are going to rebound, and I think they're still a playoff team.
Do you think that the Red Sox regret not getting Rizzo? I know that you, about a month ago, had said, I think, the Red Sox need the first baseman. I think this is a perfect match. The Cubs were cleaning house. That was your call, which I think was a good call, but it just didn't pan out. Do you think that they're regretting that now?
Yes, it could have been just about, couldn't have been any worse. Yeah. And thank you for bringing that up about my take, because if Rizzo had gone to Boston, I would have been all over the place bragging about calling that. But to see him go to New York and to see him play as well as he's been playing is pretty much the worst thing that could have happened.
Although I feel like it looks like maybe Voigt's not happy about this, and maybe Voigt could go over Boston. Yeah,
we would take him. Hey, this point, at this point, anything would work. Yeah, it's disappointing to see a team performing so well and then not put themselves in the next level by filling a hole that is so desperately evident. Right. And then, of course, to see them go to the crosstown rival who should have sold, who have no business competing for a playoff spot when the Red Sox do. So it was gut-wrenching, to say the least.
I kind of feel like they did it to block the Red Sox.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
That's really the only reason why they went after him.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Chris Sale. He returned, has looked pretty good. The most important thing after Tommy John is fastball command, and he looks pretty healthy and pretty good out there. I know it's only been a start, but that must be pretty exciting. So what was your thoughts on his first start of the season?
No, I thought it was incredible. I think before you even talk about the nitty gritty of it, I think it's really important that he came back against the Orioles. And you can call that an easy start. You can call it whatever you want. It is an easy start. The Orioles have lost 15 straight, I think, at this point. But the alternative is to throw him into Yankee Stadium or to throw him against the Rays and the Trop, who are leading the AL East. I think it was really smart for Cora and Chaim Bloom and all the other decision makers to let him ease in a little bit. And the Red Sox have a couple easy series coming up too. Command was the first thing I thought of when I watched him. It's unbelievable that he looks like the same exact pitcher. His slider is so good. His fastball is so good. He wasn't blowing batters away. I think the fastest fastball he threw was only 95 or 96 miles per hour, but it doesn't even matter because he's still getting batters to swing and miss. And I thought the command was amazing. I thought the precision was amazing. He wore the daddy long neck tank top and his presser. The personality's back. It's a huge morale boost, especially at this point of the season.
Yeah, I think he's coming back at just the right time.
Totally.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, so I want to get your thoughts on Tanner Houck. Is it Houck?
It is Houck. Yeah,
Houck. I thought so. Okay.
As opposed to Houghton, you can see how.
So I feel like there's a lot of reason to be excited there. A lot of people, and it's so funny. I literally texted my brother-in-law this before people started saying it. He looks like a righty Chris Sale.
Yes.
The slider is identical. So Houck's slider has a horizontal movement of 14.2 inches, and Chris Sale's is typically between 14 and 14.5. So both extremely similar in terms of movement, the way their arm slot is, everything looks so identical. How excited are you? I know they're limiting him still, but how excited are you for the future of him?
Yeah, over the moon. I think they're within an inch of each other too. Houck's 6'5". I think Chris Sale is right around there too. You can't understate how much stature plays into it. I'm ready for the bubble wrap to come off.
I know.
That's what I decided. I'm ready for Cora to put the ball in his hands for more than 4 or 5 innings and for us to see what he can really do. And they've been very clear that he's going to play a big part even this season in the postseason. But my thought at this point in August is that why are you letting him eat up innings in Worcester? That's not doing anybody any good at this point. Cora's last decision is going to get criticized because he pulled him out after 4 innings against the Yankees and he was playing well. That honestly mattered less to me because usually Garrett Whitlock would be much better in that situation. He just had a bad day. But I think it just goes back to the bigger idea that at some point you got to let him go. You got to let him see what he can do with that slider. And I think he's going to impress so much.
Yep, definitely agree. All right, so let's say Yankees, Rays, Red Sox all make the playoffs. Who would you rather face in a 1-game playoff, the Rays or the Yankees?
Oh, man. Actually, I guess if it's one game, I want the Rays because I don't want anything to do with Garrett Cole. And that's the guy that they would throw out. I wouldn't have said that if Andrew Heaney was going to throw 7 innings of 1 run on Wednesday. But no, I think the Rays do better in a 162-game season because they have that much depth and they can go to so many different options without Tyler Glass now. you're already relying on a number 2 or number 3 arm. And I think, especially if Chris Sale's pitching, I think the Red Sox have the better offense. If the Yankees are fully healthy, firing on all cylinders, I've always thought they've had the better offense. And now they have the better defense with Rizzo at first. I would take my chances with the Rays, which I kind of didn't expect to say, but in a one-game set, I think I would take the Rays.
Yeah, I also feel like the Yankees, they've got some momentum right now, and that's also a very dangerous thing. And it's like the Red Sox versus the Yankees, and if the Yankees have momentum, I think I would lean Rays too. I think in a kind of a one-off situation.
Yeah, especially Yankee
totally
Stadium.
Agree.
It's never good.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like you said too. I mean, I think overall too, the Rays are just better in a longer series too. But man, I mean, their pitching is crazy questionable.
Totally.
All right. So real quick, we got to mention a no-hitter that happened. Tyler Gilbert, he faced the San Diego Padres at home, completed 9 innings with 0 hits, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Pretty awesome moment. First start of his career. Everyone saw his dad basically crying, going crazy at the end of the game. Is really cool to see. In terms of fantasy, we'll start with you, Emma. Do you think there's any fantasy implications there for Tyler Gilbert? Like a reason to obviously we know this is like the highest of highs he will ever be. And we're not expecting him to be a ridiculous ace, but do you think he is usable in fantasy baseball moving forward?
I think he's usable. I think it's going to come down to the matchup. And I guess at this point, I certainly wouldn't have started him against the Padres of all lineups.
Yeah.
So a lot of luck comes into it. Yeah. But the craziest thing, I pulled up a few stats about his start, and my favorite is that his fastball averaged 89.5 miles per hour. He had 5 strikeouts. That's the fewest in a no-hitter since 2013. So that's just my favorite part about no-hitters in general. There's a reason why Jacob deGrom hasn't thrown one, and why Max Scherzer hasn't thrown one, and all these guys who you would think are the best pitchers in the world. Tyler Gilbert can do it his own way. Wade Miley can do it his own way. Spencer Turnbull, all the guys this year. That's why the storylines are so cool. I think it's worth giving Tyler Gilbert a shot because he knows how to pitch. That was a huge narrative coming out of the whole thing. He has such a high baseball IQ. His stuff, he doesn't have a ton of swing and miss stuff, but he knows how to pepper the strike zone and get batters to have a really soft contact against him.
Yeah. What do you think, Lauren?
Yeah, I mean, I think sure, why not? I think you can take a flyer on him. I think especially in deeper leagues. I think it was impressive, that this was against the Padres. Prior to that, you were getting no hitters against, Cleveland, Seattle, or Texas. But, like Emma mentioned, he's a bit of a soft tosser. He relies on his cutter a lot. He gives up a lot of hard contact. So I think that, I think that you can pick him up, but I would definitely take a wait and see approach. And I think you want to pick your opponents.
Yeah, he's more of like a crafty guy. He kind of reminds me, obviously he's not as, I don't think as good, but he's like a Greinke, like throwing not a lot of heat.
That's a good comp.
Just kind of like, putting it in the spots that he needs it to be. Obviously you're not going to get strikeouts from him. I mean, potential add for ratios, perhaps. I kind of agree. I think you maybe need to wait and see a little bit, or just kind of play matchups, like you said, Emma. So I agree with both of you there. He's not going to be a league winner. We'll put it that way. Just someone that, maybe you could kind of play around with and maybe could help you out. Okay. All right.
And he really can't top this moment. I mean, he went at like this was like his
it's
top.
Impossible.
I mean,
unless he throws a perfect game.
Yeah, right.
So this is the best we're gonna see.
This is it. Yeah.
It's funny. A lot of people are saying that too. They're like, he should just retire. Just quit baseball now. That's it. You did
it. It's never gonna get better than this.
You made it. Yeah. Exactly.
No one to leave the party, right?
Yeah. Yes. All right, we're going to talk some struggling either hitters and pitchers who are either struggling or they're kind of just, owned by teams based on their name and what they've done in the past, and whether you or not you should cut them for. I mean, this is, we're getting into the really important part of fantasy baseball now. Not a lot of time left before playoffs. This is where you guys start making moves, or if you're in rotisserie leagues, this is where you guys start making moves up the standings. So this is where you really got to cut ties and just stop waiting or relying on someone who started with a hot streak, which kind of leads us to our first player, which is Adolis Garcia. Since July 1st, he is hitting only 199 with a 72 WRC plus and a 33.3 strikeout rate. Real true swing and miss guy with poor plate discipline, but he started off the season extremely hot. A lot of people are still holding on to him and still kind of love him. Do you guys think it's time to just cut bait and that's it? He's going to be like this the rest of the way. We'll start with you, Emma. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the saddest thing of all is that he's dropped out of the AL Rookie of the Year race. I think it's Randy Arosarenas to lose right now, and it was totally Garcia's to lose just a couple of months ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was looking at his Baseball Savant page. He's in the 7th percentile in walk percentage, and then it just keeps getting worse from there. 6th in chase rate, 5th in K percentage, and 4th in whisk percentage. A lot of those things to me are just signs of being a rookie, and he's just struggling to get comfortable at the plate. He has no sort of plate discipline. He can't get anything going. And I don't own him, but I think if I did, I would be so frustrated that I would cut him. I don't really see him turning the corner anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that he should be cut. I think he had a really great May. I think we've talked about him a little bit before. I think he's a player that I said would have this steep kind of, drop in stats rest of season. And, he's really kind of fallen off a cliff, since July. He's stolen 1 base since July 1st. And so, he's got, 26 homers, 8 stolen bases. And that's a nice kind of power speed combo to have. But if you're not stealing those bases, he's less appealing. And you're right, it comes down to his plate discipline. He has a K rate over 30%, and that is never a good thing. That's not going to get you on base. You're not going to be able to steal bases with that, and your batting average will continue to drop, and it has steadily dropped since June each month. So I don't know why that won't continue. So he's definitely someone that I would cut.
Yeah, I cut him in a league recently, actually, and it just not even. I don't even know if he's worth a bench spot anymore. It's just, but it was crazy. He was so good for so long. I traded him in a league too because I was like, "There's no way this lasts with the plate discipline." I traded him a couple months ago. I don't remember for who, but anyway. Our next guy is more of a big name, and that's Tommy Pham. Started off really slow, all of a sudden got a little hot. And now in the past month and a half, he's only hit 208 with 1 steal and 4 home runs. I want to assume that we're all going to kind of say at this point you might want to drop him, but I'm actually kind of curious as to your guys' thoughts. Do you think there's a rebound there for next year?
I don't know. I think one of the things with me, I would lean. So for this season, I would say like lean cut. And part of it is because he's also seen, a drop. He's not hitting the ball as hard this season, but that could be due to his 2 wrist surgeries that he had in this offseason. So I don't know, say if that's the case, obviously I'm not a doctor. I don't know when your wrist strength comes back, but maybe I think that is an issue with some of his power issues, and last season, we started seeing him struggle with breaking pitches. He was hitting them, he had a 147 batting average against them last season. That's continued to this season. He's only hitting them at a 162 clip. So, the power's down. You mentioned, the stolen bases are down. He's had 1 since July 1st. And he's tough because he's someone that, he's always had like at least like 15 homers and like 20, like he's always had a, like a power and speed combo. But you're not really seeing that this season. And I would be down on him, I think, next season. So I would probably cut him this season, or at least if you have a bench spot, I guess you could keep him on there, but I would probably cut him and I would be less high on him in 2022.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty concerned about Tommy Pham, and I'm surprised that the Padres didn't go after outfield help at the trade deadline to replace him. I don't think he's obviously not a guy that you build around because of his age anyway, but I think it's actually time to start finding replacements for Pham. They had the same kind of issue with Will Myers, who has completely turned it around and found the power again. And unfortunately, I don't think Pham will ever find it. And if he can't get on base, then he can't show off one of his best talents, which is his speed. So it's kind of a lose-lose at this point.
Yeah, I mean, now between last season and this season, you have 581 plate appearances, where he only is hitting 236. So I mean, that's just not going to cut it for him.
Right.
Usually the power when it comes to like a broken wrist or hand, it typically takes like a year. The only person who kind of beat it, which was weird, was Matt Olson, a couple of, I think 2 years ago. But
And look at
so
him
I mean,
now.
yeah, I know. That certainly could be. I don't know if maybe some power might come back, but he's only getting older. I know he's got like that eye issue too. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it as well. I can't. It's hard not to be in on him moving forward, really, or even next season, in my opinion. All right, we're gonna move on to Moncada. So he had a really good season 2 years ago. Last year he had a down year. A lot of people like me thought maybe it was just because of COVID, because he experienced COVID symptoms and everything. He said he was extremely fatigued the entire season, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of figured maybe a rebound was coming, but that hasn't really happened. Him too, in the past month and a half, he's only hit 209 with a 90 WRC plus, which isn't that great, and a 298 OBP, which is pretty bad. So we'll start with you, Emma. Do you think Moncada can, I guess, rebound at all for the rest of the season?
No, I don't. I really don't think so. And I'm just so thankful that the Chris Sale move happened when Yoan Moncada's expectations were still so high. He did that season 2 years ago was insane. And if it is because of COVID that he's still struggling with, we know how long it takes to get back from that. That's so unfortunate. But I don't think I don't know if he's even a bench player at this point, especially with how many other talented bats are in the White Sox system. I wouldn't be surprised if they're thinking about calling up Yermin Mercedes again to just get some at bats. If Moncada, it just can't be productive. Mercedes is mashing in AAA, and obviously the positions don't match, but especially in the postseason, you're going to give at bats to people that can cash in, and I don't think Moncada is one of those guys.
Yeah, I agree. I think that his kind of breakout 2019 is kind of looking like an outlier year, especially, in the batting average department. And if you combine this year and last year with his production, there's 161 games, and we're talking about 16 home runs and 3 stolen bases. So I think that, no, I mean, I think that he's cuttable. He doesn't hit fastballs well this season, and he sees that pitch type over 60% of the time. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if we just, like I said, it was 2019 was his breakout year. I understand. I was with you, Michael, on the whole, like, 2020 it was COVID, and we'll just maybe see, and he can kind of bounce back or have a good bounce back year. But that hasn't happened, and I think also looking forward, to me, his value would remain low, even though he's in this great lineup. But no, I cut him.
I think it was weird with him because, he had that insanely high BABIP in 2019, and so did Tim Anderson. But they both had the speed, and Tim Anderson continues to have a ridiculously high BABIP and perform. Whereas Moncada, his BABIP has kind of regressed a little bit, and I think his average did as well. So he looks like he was more so very lucky that year. Whereas Tim Anderson is clearly legit and just continues to perform. All right, we're going to move on to Trent Grisham. I wasn't too much of a fan of him heading into this season, mainly because he typically dropped in the lineup when he was against lefties, I think. But this year now he's been struggling, and now he's consistently hitting towards the bottom of the lineup no matter who he's facing, and he hasn't been performing that well as well. Do you guys think that Grisham can rebound? Do you think, maybe he's just was a little bit lucky a couple seasons ago? What are you guys' thoughts on him?
So I'm actually really high on Trent Grisham, and my co-host Pat, we agree that I think Trent Grisham and Jake Cronenworth are the cogs that make the San Diego Padres go. It's obviously going to be around Fernando Tatis. It's going to be around Darvish and Snell, but even Jake Cronenworth, I think, has had his star breakout year. I think Trent Grisham is going to be the guy for them that if he doesn't perform, the Padres are going to struggle. And if he does, it takes them to a new level. it's confusing to me almost why he's struggling so much, because I couldn't find one outlier number in terms of his career averages. He's not hitting the ball. Well, so the issue is that he's not hitting the ball hard, but he's still getting on base. He's just struggling to get the barrel to it. And I'm willing to this year keep him on the bench and then hope for a rebound next year.
Yeah, I'm with you too. He's a keep for me. I know that he's hasn't had the best season, but he's started to show some signs of life in August. And he's been slashing 320, 424, 560 during that time with a 984 OPS. And so he has the talent, he has the power speed combo. I think right now, especially at this point in the season, you're looking to get production anywhere that you can. I know that he's batting, near the bottom of the order. But right now he is swinging a fairly hot bat, and I'm willing to ride that right now.
Yeah. So the issue with him is kind of like what you said, Emma, is the power. I mean, the barrel rate is just it's cut in half almost. So he's just not barreling the ball, which is weird because he's pulling it the same amount. His WRC plus is right there. It's not like he's swinging and missing more. It's not like he's chasing more. The contact rate is there. Everything is there. So it's kind of weird. It's just like, when is he going to put it together almost? But I think just the bigger worry for me again is where he's hitting in the lineup. And if he, stays at the bottom, he's not going to get as many plate appearances. I guess my dog's agreeing with me here. And that means less counting stats, which can obviously hurt you in fantasy. So I think that's the only negative there. But can he rebound in power? I mean, kind of like we said, I mean, nothing really has shifted too much where it's worrying me. So maybe it does come back eventually. All right, I'm actually going to move on to pitchers here. We're going to move to Zach Plazak, who's been kind of a disaster this season. A lot of people were drafting him even sometimes as their SP1 coming into this year. Looked really good last year, had a ton of quality starts. He went 6 innings every single start last season. He was basically exceptionally good because of his command, especially with the slider. And that's kind of what the Indians do. They just take these pitchers and they show them where to put the pitches and teach them how to do it. And, they kind of go from there. But this year has been completely different. It's basically been a mess. Again, the last month and a half, he has a 5.40 ERA, a 5.42 FIP, 13.4 K walk percentage. Everything just kind of looks different there. Emma, do you think there's any hope for Plazak this season?
No, I think it's dark for Plazak, and I think it's dark for Plazak in the future because Cleveland fans have completely shifted their hopes to the 2022 starting rotation. And just like you said, every single year the Indians throw out a good rotation. You can count on it. Mm-hmm. And Plazak isn't really getting any looks for 2022. It's all around a healthy Bieber, healthy Savale. Tristan McKenzie almost threw a perfect game. Cal Quantrill is looking really good. Plazak needs a miracle to keep up with it, and none of his stuff is showing up.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think simply, he's not a strikeout guy, which is in line, with a lot of Cleveland pitchers. But I think that he's got a bloated ERA. He has a low strikeout rate. This is not a good combo. And also in terms of if you wanted to keep him, he's sitting at 101.2 innings right now. He's never pitched more than 115. So I don't know if there's also an innings issue or concern. And you don't have a lot of win potential in Cleveland. So there's not upside there. I think you have to cut him.
He just, I mean, if you watch him too, he just is not the same pitcher. I don't know what's going to come of him next year. I think they're obviously going to give him a chance still. But I think it's all about command with him and keeping a super low walk rate. He's going to be tough to figure out. I feel like maybe he'll be worth like a very late, pick in drafts next year just to take a shot and see what happens. But he's a complete disaster. And speaking of complete disasters, we'll move on to Jesus Luzardo. Traded to the Marlins, and in 4 starts with the Marlins, he has a 9.68 ERA with a 6.51 FIP, 6.21 Sierra. Looks like there's no skills there right now. It's crazy. I mean, to me, Luzardo's always had really good stuff. And he's still young. And obviously I think this kind of might just be a lost season for him. So I'll be curious to see what the Marlins do with him next year. I mean, clearly they know what they're doing there. They're just churning out pitchers left and right. So clearly they have a lot of good development there. So I wonder what they could do with him in off season, because it's really hard to fix a pitcher, obviously in the middle, no less a month left in the season. Emma, do you agree with me? Luzardo's kind of a lost cause. And if so, do you think maybe there's still some potential there for next season?
Yeah, I definitely think there's potential. And we dropped an episode on Wednesday grading some of the trade deadline deals. And I said there were 2 A's. I think the Nats Dodgers deal with Turner and Scherzer, and then the whole haul that the Nats got back. And I said that Starling Marte to Oakland and Luzardo to Miami was another A, because I think Luzardo's stuff is worth taking a risk on, and it's actually not even a risk because Miami isn't playing for anything this last month of the season. And then I looked at Luzardo's numbers, and I thought that maybe that was actually kind of a bad take by me, because he really has not been good at all. But I think this year is probably done for him. He's still got to figure himself out. I can't get the idea that he was having hand issues because of a video game problem. That's never going to be right with me. But I do think he has a lot of potential next year if he can get some things together. Miami's the place to go for young pitchers. And I think Miami's rotation is going to be absolutely nasty if everybody stays healthy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you guys have covered this really well. I will say one kind of stat that I was like, wait, what? Is this right? Was that since he's been traded to Miami, he has a 1.1% strikeout minus walk rate. And I was like, oof. What? 1.1? And so I was like, oh, man. But anyway, I agree with everything you guys have said, but I just wanted to point that out because I thought that was a crazy little crazy strikeout minus walk rate there.
I've seen, I forgot who it was. I think it was the beginning of the season through like the first month. I tweeted out too. I forgot. I wish I remember who it was, but a pitcher actually had a -1.
Oh man!
And I was like, "Oh, this is bad." That's never a good thing. All right. Moving on to also another bad pitcher. Well, he's been bad as of late. Andrew Heaney. He's always been baffling to me because he has really good stuff on paper, but he has never been able to put it together, or he's always been hurt, that type of thing. Traded to the Yankees. I think he let up like a record amount of home runs and with the 8 in 3 games when moving to a new team or whatever it was. So just really bad. And his 4 starts with the Yankees, he has a 6.55 ERA. I'm assuming Emma's going to say there's no shot for him just because she doesn't want him to be good because she's a Red Sox fan. But what are your thoughts on him, Emma?
Yeah, I tweeted this out and it was so bad too. I was like, hey, Aaron Boone, the Sox are really struggling. Can you throw us a bone? And Boone's like, yeah, sure. We'll throw you Andrew Heaney. Do what you will. And he basically shuts that down. So that was embarrassing. I actually had picked him up for a couple of matchups earlier in the season. And then I took a week off from fantasy baseball, realized he was still on my roster and was just killing myself over it because I wasted time with him. Yeah, the home run numbers are truly actually incredible that he lets up so many home runs. The strikeout stuff is never there. The velocity isn't really there. I think every once in a while he's going to have an outing like he did on Wednesday, but it's not nearly something you can count on in any sort of high leverage situation.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like if you had him, when are you going to trust him? Right. You know, like when is a good matchup? And it's like he can, I guess, play great against Boston, but then he gets lit up elsewhere. So. You just can't trust a guy with that home run rate. So yeah, I agree with you all.
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of been like that his whole career too. He's been so up and down. He'll go through like streaks where he's amazing, and then he goes through streaks where he just, gets annihilated every time he's out there. Yeah. So he's a bit of an enigma, especially because, like I said, when you look on paper, especially the past few years, all the numbers are there. It looks like he should be a really good pitcher and should keep rebounding and be better, but just doesn't happen. And if you still haven't quit on Andrew Heaney, I think it's about time you do, because I don't think it's
probably
ever
the best Angels pitching decision that they've made in the past 5 years.
Oh yeah,
letting him go.
Yep, absolutely. All right, we're going to talk about a Mets pitcher here, so everyone better talk nicely about him. Tyler McGill, before his great start last night against the Giants, the 3 starts prior, he had a 6.75 ERA with a 20% K walk rate and a 1.30 WHIP. Based on the start you saw last night against the Giants, do you think McGill is going to be better moving forward, Emma?
I actually do. I think he's got pretty good stuff. The 4-pitch mix. He doesn't get a lot of swing and miss, but opponents can't really seem to do much with what they do hit. I know you're going to hate this, and I'm sorry. And this is probably now going to be my only time that I'm allowed on this show. But I don't think the Mets provide any win opportunities at this point. And at this point of the season, I don't know if I want a Mets pitcher anywhere near
that's so sad. I mean, Lauren loves it because
you're a
Braves
fan.
Yeah. No, to me, I roster him. I keep him. I would keep him, but I kind of would be playing him, looking at some of the matches a little bit more closely than previously, because I think outside of the Giants game that he just had, where he pitched very well, his earned runs had been going up in his prior 3 starts, but a lot of his ERA estimators, they're not bad. I mean, he has a 3.57 FIP and he's got a 3.81 SARA, but it's not terrible. I think for me, I would keep him and then kind of pick and play his matches.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think too his last few starts, I mean, he had some tough matchups. I mean, Philly was hitting at the time, now they're not, but and then he had the Dodgers too, where he struggled a little bit. But I mean, I really like his stuff. His slider and fastball are pretty serious. His fastball is ridiculous. It's like up there as one of the better ones in the league. I mean, as of right now. So I do think he's got really good stuff. I think he's going to be better moving forward as well. And I'm not just.
And you like his swagger.
Yeah,
right?
I've talked about that. He just seems like a boss on the mound.
Mm-hmm.
All right, real quick, we're going to touch on Jacob deGrom. Shut down again. Looks like they might shut him down for the season with a forearm issue. So my question is going to be for next season. These injuries seem to keep popping up with him. I wonder if it is because the fastball velocity keeps increasing. He's not getting younger. He does have a younger arm than his age because he was called up, later on. He's an older prospect, but I feel like this has to be kind of worrisome. So I'm going to assume he's probably still going the first 2 rounds of fantasy drafts next season. Emma, would you bite on him next year?
Yeah, I was so happy deGrom was on this list because I picked him, I think, 6th overall this year, either 6th or 7th. And it was my first time that I've had a good enough pick to get an arm like a Garrett Cole type.
Mm-hmm.
I don't regret it at all, but it obviously sucks at this point of the season. And I think at this point you have to drop him. But that's a really good question for next year. I don't know how you don't. I mess with Pat all the time on our show. I also don't know how you don't pay him in the future. But
yeah,
if he's only going to make us, if he's, I was hearing all these tweets when he was still crazy good. Is he going to get an MRI after every single start? And we're just going to hope after every single start that it's going to come back negative. That's kind of scary.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. I also, though, in general, tend to take pitchers a little bit later, so I wouldn't be taking him in the first round anyway. But I think that he definitely, I think he has to drop. I mean, you have to be a little bit cautious. I guess you'd still kind of roll with him, but there's a level of concern there, I think, moving forward.
Yeah, I was trying to find the tweet real quick, and my dog's going nuts. Phil Dussault tweeted something out. It was earlier in the season too, where if deGrom stopped pitching at that point and you picked up like Bruce Zimmerman, like one of the worst pitchers in the league, he still, between both of them, would give you production of I want to say like one of the better arms in the league still. Like that's how good he is, where like even if he does get injured at the level that he's at, like it still doesn't hurt you as much as you would think, really. So I think it will be interesting next season. And I do think that he might still end up being worth it, which is pretty crazy because I mean, if the guy pitches a full year, it's it's absurd. I mean,
yeah.
he's clearly the best pitcher in the baseball right now.
Yeah.
They were at the point where they were making new awards for Jacob deGrom. The Cy Young Award wasn't enough for Jacob deGrom after.
Right.
Yeah, he was. It stinks. I wish we could have saw him finish out the season because he was on a historic pace, and it would have been really something to watch. So
I'd love to hear what you guys think about the NL East right now. How it's think, not want.
I think, I mean, NL East is so, like, generally it's crazy. You know, I think anyone can win it, but I think it is going to be the Braves. I think the Nats have just fallen. They've cleaned house. Marlins are at the bottom. It's always generally, I feel like, between like Mets, Phillies, and Braves.
Yeah, it is.
But it's always a wide open race. But I think, and I'm surprised based off of some of the trade moves that the Braves made, where they got a whole new outfield essentially. But they've been coming on strong a little bit lately, and but it's still anyone's game between, I feel like, the Phillies and the Mets. But I'm going Braves.
Yeah, I mean, I actually thought at one point the Phillies were going to take it, but I mean, their offense started struggling randomly. I mean, Harper's been on a tear, but I don't know. I feel like it's still pretty open, just because all their pitching staffs all are like worrisome to me. I mean, Morton's been really good. Fried's been better, but I mean, when it comes to the Braves, I mean, Smiley, I feel like he's so up and down. Tukey, you cannot trust at all, in my opinion. Is good, and he's finally back, but I feel like he might be a little prone to some hiccups as well. And then Phillies, I mean, you got Nola, Wheeler, and then it's like, who's going to be there? And then the Mets are just, we have a couple issues going on. But I actually don't think it's going to be the Mets anymore, unfortunately. Until their offense starts hitting, it's just not going to happen. And I think, it's kind of making that turning point where it was like the pitching staff was carrying them, and now it's going to have to be the offense. Otherwise they're done for. But I do think it's going to be between Braves and Phillies. I'm just not too sure who's going to do it yet. Because I think they both have question marks and kind of go either way there.
That's interesting.
What do you think, Emma?
I never trust Philly. I just don't think they can ever get things together. I thought for sure the Mets until 3 weeks ago, or whatever it was. And now something happened with the Braves. You can't put a number to how much it means to a team and a club when their GM is behind them and goes out and makes moves at the deadline. I mean, you see the polar opposite of it in Boston versus Atlanta. They brought in 75 new players, and look how well they're playing now. I think they had a crazy season. I
was like, what are they doing? You know? And I was just like, but I guess I think you're right in terms of that whole kind of E for effort. And they're showing you, all right, we're going to make some sort of push here, and whether it pans out or not, like, we did this, and this is, so I think that's,
I mean, it goes all the way back to Acuna too. Just because Acuna goes down doesn't mean we Freeman
give
means
up.
Nothing. Ozzie Albies means nothing. Yeah, it's crazy.
I think that's true.
I mean, they have fought a lot of injuries. So it's been pretty impressive what they've done. But
thought NL East was going to be the most talented division, and it certainly has not been, but it's still maybe the most interesting to watch, which is
absolutely
stands for something.
We'll see what happens. It'll be a fun last month of baseball for sure. So I'm looking forward to it. All right, that does it. Emma, just let everyone know where they could find you on Twitter, your podcast. I mean, when you guys typically release episodes, that kind of stuff.
Definitely. So you can find me on Twitter at Emma_Houghton9. My last name is Houghton. And my co-host Pat Zhang and I, we record every Tuesday night and Thursday night. So we drop episodes Wednesday and Friday. Wednesdays, during the baseball season, we don't really mix it up, but usually we do baseball, college football, NFL, and college basketball. And those episodes drop on Wednesday, and then baseball only on Friday. And you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at DidYouHearPod.
All right. Awesome.
Nice.
I highly suggest anyone listening to check out their podcast, because as I was kind of saying before, it's really good. Lauren, that is it.
That is it. We're another one under the belt. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you guys. That was awesome.
Yes. Thank you for coming
Yeah.
on.
Thank you for coming on.
We will be back next week. And I'd say this every time. I don't know what next week's gonna be about yet. But
Love that.
We'll definitely release an episode. We'll probably try to aim for earlier next week. And again, thank you all for listening. Make sure you check out our website, spstreamer.com. Check us out on Twitter at spstreamer. Check out our Twitch channel, YouTube, all that good stuff. That will be in the description. Also, if you do want to follow Emma, I will put her Twitter handle in the description as well, so you can check it out there. And that about does it. So everyone have a good rest of your day. And